Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I actually want to speak about something. I'm only saying something, however, I just want to speak about net positive and net negative. The reason why I say so is because I feel as if in nowadays we just label people as the wrong person or as the right person, and we are not sitting down and making our calculations about them or our judgments about them properly. And I feel as if we can just decide to label people a net negative or a net positive, we'll be giving them much more grace than just calling them the bad person entirely. So what I mean by net negative and net positive is that like in math, obviously when a negative number is much more than a positive number, it will still become a negative. And when a positive number is much more than a negative number, it will become a positive. And with people are different. We all have our individual traits. We all have our specialties, or whatever you want to call it. And we all have those characteristics where one can say that is negative and the other can say that is positive. However, if the negative is more than the positive, then that's a net negative. And if the positive is more than the negative, then that's a net positive. If we can start doing that as human beings, I feel as if we can save a lot of people, because I know the world can be cruel. We can outright label someone as a dead person or bad person or just a crook or a thief without necessarily thinking properly or constructively, or just doing thorough investigation about that person. And I feel as if really we can be saving a lot of people from killing themselves and suicide and all that stuff. I just want to make an example. We all know Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was the most notorious human being that ever lived on this planet. I believe, well, one of the most notorious people. I believe that, or I think, he was a guy who had an influence in World War I and definitely started World War II. However, if you look at Adolf Hitler's story, he's actually the guy who conceptualized the Volkswagen, VW, the cars that we drive today, my VW Polo, Amarok, Tiguan, all those cars. Adolf Hitler came about the concept of VW because he wanted to make cars more affordable for the German people. That's why it's called Volkswagen, the people's car. And unfortunately for him, because of all the destruction that he has caused throughout the world and all the pain and suffering, he's going to be labeled as a net negative. But there's some positive that it did. For example, Volkswagen, where he basically conceptualized VW. So I can say that, yeah, the things that he has done outright, you can just say he's a net negative for society. What I can also say is that even a person like Andrew Tate, yeah, well, people are calling him a misogynist and all that and that. He has his downsides. However, he also has his good sides. And the good side is that he's pushing young kids, young men, to be strong, to be masculine, to go to the gym and exercise and get some courses, get some skills, be able to lift yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. That's the good that Andrew Tate is doing. The downside I can say is that, okay, you can smash any girl that you want, you can get any chick you want, you can marry as many women that you want. Forgetting that Andrew Tate is Islamic himself, and they allow people to have many wives. However, because he's been, allegedly involved, I can't confirm for sure, but he's been involved in, or they say sex trafficking and all that stuff, people might say that he's a net negative, but I see him as a net positive because he's literally pushing young men from this feminization or whatever you want to call it and making them more masculine. So by those two examples, it clearly tells me that we should just give people some slack. It's not nice to just label that person as a bad person or this is a good person. You have to be able to see their individual characteristics and their behavior for you to finally make a judgment. And I believe that if we start doing it this way, seeing people as net negative or net positive, will be saving a lot of men, or anybody in the world, from taking their lives or doing the most heinous of things to themselves. And I feel as if it's gonna do much more justice to a society and individuals themselves. I don't know, perhaps maybe you are understanding what I said. I hope you do. If you have a comment, please do comment. I really appreciate your comment if you just engage on my channel. And I trust that I have said everything as clearly as possible. If you don't understand, you can always comment and you can try and engage on it, and I can try and explain it to you. However, that's my 2 cents of the story. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.